Hi, Ray Hayden here, and this is part 3 of my 4-part series of my personal experiences with the California bar exam, which I sat for in February of 2018. So because the exam's given in California and I live in Florida, I have to get there. So episode number 1 of the series is my travel experiences. Episode number 2 is day 1 of the exam. That's the 5 essays and a performance test. This episode is going to cover the 200 multiple choice questions of the MBE, or multi-state bar exam. And then episode number 4 is going to be questions and answers. So below any of the videos, feel free to scroll down, go to the comments below, ask me questions on anything that you need to know about. If I'm allowed to answer, I will answer you to the best of my ability. If I am not allowed to answer you, I will let you know that that's a subject that I'm not allowed to talk about after the exam. I will also cover things that I think people should ask about, but maybe they don't know to even ask about them. And I will also discuss things about the Pasadena Convention Center, specifically the environment, and anything I can do to help reduce stress, aggravation, frustration. Other than the exam itself, I just want to eliminate any other stress that we possibly can. Let's go into the MBE portion of this. Before I do that, let me mention one more thing. I do firmly believe that I failed the California bar exam, but on the written side of the exam. I think I did the best I could with what I had, but I had not reached the level where I wanted to be at for the written part of the exam. So that's where I think that I failed the exam. For the MBE portion of the exam, I was right at the level where I wanted to be. Now, whether or not that was enough and I didn't completely blow it on the MBEs, that's another story. But I got myself to where my expectation of the level where I needed to be, I got there. In fact, let me give you this part of the information. I can talk about this in a further video and maybe in episode number 4. But for the MBEs, one of the tools that I had was the MBE Study Aid. The MBE Study Aid is a product that is sold by the National Committee of Bar Examiners. These are the people who create the MBE, and it was an expensive product, but I got it because I thought it was the most recent set of questions that were retired from the MBE. That is probably true. The other thing is that they will most closely match the design and logic on the current questions. That's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong on that. We'll find out in mid-May when the results come out. The thing I want to talk about with the MBE Study Aid is that the night before the MBEs, like the written portion's done, I don't have to worry about essays anymore, but on the MBE portion of it, the night before, the night after the essays, I did 210 MBEs from the MBE Study Aid. I went through them twice with 100% perfection both times. The morning of the exam, I woke up painfully early, so while I'm awake and I'm not going to go back to sleep, I did it 2 more times. So before the exam, the night before, and the morning of the exam, I went through those 210 questions 4 additional times with 100% perfection. I'm not going to see those same questions on the exam. I wasn't doing it to get prepped up on memorizing the questions and answers. I was doing it to try to pick up on the design and logic of the fact patterns and how they represent the options that we choose from. One more thing I want to cover on this. Real quickly, let's talk about the exam itself. You have 2 sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session. In the morning, you have question number 1 through 100. And the afternoon session, after your lunch break, you have question number 101 through 200. So it's kind of an interesting thing to see, 1 through and then 101 to 200. I just thought it was interesting. Let me tell you about how I do the exam. I jump into the exam booklet, where the questions are. I answer in the booklet. So I don't transfer immediately over to the answer sheet. I don't read the question and then mark the answer. I don't do it that way because I don't find that to be, for me, I'm clumsy, so it's not like an effective and efficient use of my time. So I go through the question booklet. I go through the question booklet. I circle my answers. If I'm going to skip a question, I might just simply make an arrow to something I was thinking about. I might make an underline somewhere. I might handwrite a note to myself to come back to later on. And I hope for some other question or answer along the way will trigger something in my mind to help me with that answer that I skipped, or the question that I skipped. But I'll make notes in the book. I'll write in the book. I'll do all kinds of things, all crazy things in the booklet. And then when I get done satisfied that, okay, now I can start answering on the answer sheet, then I go to the answer sheet. I find that I have far more than enough time to answer 100 questions in 3 hours. It's probably a lot to do with my preparation going into the MBE. It also has something to do with the fact that I read a little bit faster. Doesn't mean my comprehension is any better, but hopefully my comprehension is good enough that I scored well enough to do good on the MBE portion of the exam. Again, I'm pretty positive that I failed the exam. I just want to do as good as I possibly have on the exam so I can see if my process can be validated as being a good way to go about it. The other thing with the MBEs is that the 1.8 minutes per question, so I'll wrap it up with this. The 1.8 minutes per question is a misnomer because some of the questions can be answered in less than 30 seconds. I mean, I'm different than you, you're different than me. Each of us is going to find different questions, but I'm telling you, there's a number of questions, a decent number that can be answered in probably less than 30 seconds. You're going to see it, you're going to get it, you're going to know it. Some of them are short. You know, you're just going to know it. Maybe they're a freebie, maybe they're giving them out. But some of them are going to be less than 30 seconds to answer it. Some more are going to be less than 45 seconds. Some are going to be less than a minute. Some are going to be less than a minute and a half. All of that is less than 1.8 minutes. All of that extra time that you're making up, you can invest 5-10 minutes into a question if you need to, all right? Down the road. You can't do it on every question, but all those ones that you're saving up that little bit of time, this can be invested wisely into further questions. This is pretty much probably why they say skip over the question. Come back to it. Every one you get right is worth 1 point. It could be the hardest question in the world. It's only worth 1 point. The easiest question in the world, it's worth that same point, all right? So don't play around, don't goof around, don't hurt yourself by not finishing the questions. Make sure that you were able to at least get your eyes on every single question and select an answer that you wanted to select, right or wrong, okay? Get the right answer or get the answer you wanted to put down there, whether it's right or wrong. Get that answer down on your answer sheet, the right answer in the right place where you wanted it to be, and that's your best opportunity to do well on the MBE in my own humble opinion. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up on that. Ask questions below. And by the way, while you scroll down there, hit the thumbs up. Give me a big like on this video because it's a fantastic video. I approve. And by the way, hit the subscribe button. If you like what you see, if you want to learn more about it, you want to see more of what I'm all about, smack that subscribe button because it's really mandatory for us to have subscribers at this point on YouTube. And I greatly appreciate your support. So with that, until I see you in episode number 4 with the questions and answers, take care and be well.